I do have rain in my weekend forecast. I'll have the weekend thunderstorm timeline and the 14-day outlook coming up.
A new chapter of the exploration of our celestial neighbor is complete. Integrity's astronauts back on Earth.
History made as the crew of Artemis II returns to Earth.
2 people are in critical condition after an electrocution in Fort Worth. What we've learned from witnesses who watched it all happen, coming up.
Jurors are set to see some of the most graphic evidence in the FedEx killer trial. What to know as Tanner Horner's capital murder trial wraps up week 1. Plus, feral hogs take over a North Texas neighborhood. And this is live off the coast of California there, the ship where the astronauts from Artemis II boarded before they were flown away. The sun setting after that massive team at NASA just completed the historic splashdown of Artemis II. Much more on that in a moment. Well, it is clear in Dallas tonight, but we do have some rain this weekend. Chief Meteorologist Pete Delkus is tracking a weather alert day.
Well, you're right, Cynthia. We do have a weather alert day. It's beautiful outside right now. We have mostly clear skies at DBU. The temp is 73, but the weather alert day is Sunday afternoon, 3 to 9 p.m. So 3 p.m. until 9 p.m., afternoon, early evening. We'll have some rain around late tomorrow night and through the morning on Sunday, okay? And then Sunday afternoon, and this is all very questionable. I talked about this in the early newscasts, that it's a really, meteorologically speaking, I'm laughing when I say this, truly though, it's a pretty iffy situation on Sunday afternoon. But if any thunderstorm can develop, one of those thunderstorms could produce some gusty winds, some small hail, some very heavy rain, and there is a very low severe threat. Now, I'll dig into that a little bit deeper here in a few minutes in my main weathercast, but I want you to stay updated this weekend on the forecast. Grab the rain gear, download WFA Plus to your TV. We've had a couple little spotty showers. They're in the process of falling apart right now, and my forecast tomorrow will look pretty similar to today. Clouds in the morning, sun in the afternoon with some isolated 10% chance of some showers and thunderstorms developing. I have no severe weather in my forecast tomorrow. About 50% of us see some rain on Sunday morning, and Sunday afternoon, the rain coverage, that 3 to 9 p.m., it's about 20% coverage. And if any thunderstorm can develop, it's a big if. If it can develop, it could produce some gusty winds and some small hail, certainly some lightning and some thunder. I'll be back in a few minutes. I'll have the thunderstorm timeline, and I have thunderstorms in my forecast most every day next week. The full forecast coming up.
And make sure to download WFA Plus to stay ahead of the rain and potential storms. You can get live weather updates from our meteorologists and track our live radar. Plus is free to download to your TV.
Jubilation here in the flight control room. The first crew member is out of integrity.
Applause from Mission Control in Houston as history is made. The astronauts on Artemis II exiting the Orion spacecraft after splashing down safely at 7:07 p.m. The first astronaut exited the capsule around 8:30 this evening. The crew will head to Houston next to undergo a series of tests. And look at this graphic from NASA showing a sped-up version of the journey. After launching from Cape Canaveral, Florida on April 1st, the Artemis crew circled the Earth, then made the historic loop around the moon before heading back to Earth and splashing down this evening off the coast of San Diego. And we just heard from NASA about the successful splashdown a few hours ago. NASA leaders are celebrating this huge milestone.
So y'all, we did it. We sent 4 amazing people to the moon and safely returned them to Earth for the first time in more than 50 years. To the generation that now knows what we're capable of, welcome to our moonshot.
And they did it as we all watched from the edge of our seats. Remember, the goal of this mission is to prepare us to send humans back to the moon and see if travel to Mars is possible. Much more from Artemis II in just a few minutes. But in Fort Worth today, 2 men were electrocuted while working on a transformer. Fire officials say one of them died. It happened near the intersection of 820 and East Berry Street. That's where Adriana de Alba reports from tonight.
Well, witnesses on scene tell me there were 2 men working on those power lines in a bucket truck when all of a sudden they began hearing sparks. There was an electrocution happening, and those nearby rushed over to help.
Oh, it was very chaotic.
From a normal workday to a tragedy.
It's a horrible thing.
Fort Worth fire officials say just before 2 this afternoon,
Help him get him out the bucket.
2 men were working on a transformer when suddenly
Static.
Bruce Green heard sparks.
This transformer up here was still sparking.
Officials say both of the men were in a bucket truck and both were electrocuted.
We was like, what's going on?
Howard Harris and his barbershop crew rushed over to help, giving CPR.
One of the guys was responsive, and then the other guy, he never even said nothing.
Emergency crews rushing them to the hospital, both critical.
I hope they live, you know.
Fire officials later confirming one of the men did not survive.
That job is very dangerous.
The men's helmets and boots left behind as if frozen in time.
It's a tragic thing.
It is still unclear what exactly caused that electrocution. We reached out to Encore, but have not heard back. We also reached out to Bobcat Contracting, who was also on scene. No word there either. Meanwhile, a family will now mourn their loved one, who went to work and never came home. In Fort Worth, I'm Adriana De Alba.
New tonight, Texas smoke shops are restocking smokable THC products after a judge temporarily blocked a ban against them. The court order allows the THC products be made available for the next 2 weeks. Last month, the Texas Department of State Health Services banned the sale of smokable hemp products like flower, but it was met with several lawsuits. The rule mirrors federal guidelines taking effect later this year. The companies behind the lawsuit claim the state is overstepping its authority. The FAA says anti-drone lasers that shut down the El Paso airport in February are safe to use. The airport had a complete ground stop for several hours that morning. Miscommunication between the FAA and the Homeland Security over testing the technology prompted airport officials to close the airspace. Further testing last month convinced officials that lasers that are meant to shoot down cartel drones are safe to use at U.S. airports and will not impact air travel. Happening tomorrow morning, Vice President J.D. Vance will begin peace talks with Iran. He spoke with reporters briefly this morning before boarding Air Force Two.
If the Iranians are willing to negotiate in good faith, we're certainly willing to extend the open hand. If they're going to try to play us, then they're going to find that the negotiating team is not that receptive.
Meeting officials in Pakistan, the ongoing ceasefire is on shaky ground, with both sides disagreeing whether Israeli attacks on Lebanon break the agreement. The war has wiped out key leaders of the Iranian regime, but the closure of the Strait of Hormuz has sent gas prices skyrocketing across the U.S. Well, the jury is set to see more disturbing evidence next week in the sentencing phase for FedEx killer Tanner Horner. The delivery driver admitted to killing 7-year-old Athena Strand in 2022. Kevin Reese explains the stunning pictures and video jurors saw in week 1 of the trial.
If there is a moment when the jury will decide they've seen and heard enough to choose life or death for Tanner Horner, that moment could come next week. Prosecutors say the same cameras that recorded Athena Strand standing inside the FedEx truck as Tanner Horner drove away with her also recorded her death.
When I say it's horrible, I mean it.
Prosecutors will play that audio in court next week.
It's not 5 minutes. It's an hour. And it's not just one time that he's trying to kill her. It's over and over and over again.
You know, people think, well, he's pled guilty. Maybe why isn't the trial taking so long? He's already pled guilty.
Criminal defense lawyer Juan Sanchez is watching this trial. He says even though Horner pled guilty, every detail, no matter how horrible, will be presented in court.
Well, they want to put on all the evidence to show how bad it was. So we're going to hear from every witness no matter what.
The jury has already seen Horner lead investigators to Athena's body. They've heard his confession.
I tried to recognize making it as quick and painless as possible.
And they've heard Horner talk about a possible split personality. His attorneys claim he's been mentally ill his entire life. They want the jury to give him life in prison instead.
Tanner's injury actually began before he was born.
Prosecutors say this case could take at least 2 more weeks. The trial and all its difficult and graphic evidence resumes on Monday. In Dallas, I'm Kevin Reese.